Hello everybody, my name's Elena. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're obviously doing something very different. The end of the year is nearing, my hair is done, makeup is done, dress shirt is on, and I'm happy to announce that I will be hosting the 2023 Bookish Awards. These are my 2023 Bookish Awards. I did not do any surveys, any voting, none. This is just me giving awards to the books that I read this year. And if you were wondering, oh my god, the audio is going to be so crisp, this doesn't work. This is here for show. It's all a lie. This is the best I could do so you could be able to see what I'm doing. I'm sorry if you can't. I will be reading everything out anyways. Like I said, these are my Bookish Awards. So these are the awards that I would give the books that I read this year. This is not like global or anything. If you don't agree, that's fine. You're not supposed to, because these are mine. Let's get started. Firstly, I would like to talk about the 3 categories that we've divided the awards in. The first category, we have basic. These are just overall awards, nothing really specific. Second category, we have book content. In this category, there are awards that have everything to do with what is inside of the book. The plot, the characters, the writing, all of that jazz. And then we have emotional. That is our third category. It has everything to do with emotions and everything to do with the books and the emotions that the books evoked while I read them. Perfect. Let's start. Like I said, first category is basic. First award of the night and day, it depends on when you're watching this video, is Best Romance Book of 2023. Again, this is Best Romance Book that I read in 2023. And this has to go to Heartless by Elsie Silver. I read a lot of romance books this year and they were all really good. But this one has got to take the cake. I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. In fact, it was so good that I bought it so I could own it. It had everything that a romance book should give and more. The couple had chemistry. I was laughing the whole time. The found family was amazing. It has cowboys. I was gonna say, who doesn't like cowboys? There's probably a lot of people that don't like cowboys. I love them. I love anything to do with ranches, cowboys, horses, all of it. So this, great, amazing, show-stopping. Highly recommend that you read it. If you didn't get around to reading it 2023, definitely go ahead and read it 2024. This gets Best Romance Book of 2023. Next award is Best Sports Romance of 2023. Listen, I like to keep the theme going, okay? So the book that's getting this award is Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series. Heartless was the second one. I give it 4.75 stars. I read it while I was on holiday and had the time of my life. I usually don't have a lot of time to read while I'm on holiday because, like, we're doing things. I read this in 2 days. It was so good. And it's a sports romance because the guy, Rhett, is a bull rider. First of all of the scenes where he was bull riding, 1, were so hot. 2, so fun. Are you kidding me? That was, like, such a good part of the book. I loved everything about this. And the sports, like, aspect of the book isn't very in your face, but it's still present, but in a really enjoyable way. It doesn't take away from the book or the characters. Overall, really good romance book and really good sports romance. Diving into the fantasy end of things, we're taking a break from the romance. This is Best Fantasy of 2023. I did 2 vlogs dedicated to this series, so if you've watched them, you probably know what I'm gonna pick. But I decided to be specific. I did not pick the whole series, I picked only 1 book from the series. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. I gave it 5 stars. Is that a shocker to you? It shouldn't be. Because I don't think anyone's read this book and not given it 5 stars. This was so good. This is so long. 984 pages. This is a chonker of a book and not one thing in it was out of place. The characters were amazing. The world building was amazing. It's such a good finale to such a long series. This is the last book in the Throne of Glass series. So good. Now we get to Best Series of 2023. I think you should be sensing what the answer is going to be. If not, I'll help you out. It is most definitely Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Look, I did not think I was going to love this series as much as I did. It gripped me by the balls. It is so good. It gave everything that needed to be given, and I put Throne of Glass right here just because it's the first book. I didn't want to litter the presentation with all the books, but yes. Again, I have 2 very lengthy vlogs about this. And I loved this series. I loved everything about it. The writing is, I think, what got me. I think I was tabbing every single page with the little green tab, which for me means quotes or like really good writing. It's so good. I know it's scary because it's like a big series, but just give it a go. It's literally such a fun ride. Like, who doesn't want a badass assassin fighting to like save the world? I was gonna almost spoil the whole series just now. I didn't. You should be thankful for that. But go ahead and read it, okay? It's so fun. Next award is the longest book that I read in 2023. Listen, I'm sorry, I know it's annoying, but it's Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. 984 pages. I did not read a longer book than this. I've never read a longer book than this. But again, every single part of this book was exactly as long as it needed it to be. It was amazing. It was perfect. This is the perfect book. And it's also the longest book that I read this year. That should tell you something. Obviously, because we did the longest book read in 2023, we have to do the shortest book read in 2023. And now this one, I can confidently say that you are not expecting. Whatever you're thinking, it's not that. Because it is Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke. A classic, y'all. I read a classic this year. I mean, look, it is 123 pages, also, which I thought was really funny because it's 1, 2, 3. How exciting. I give it 3.5 stars. It wasn't anything like show-stopping, but I still really enjoyed it. And I also do think that everyone should read this book because there is a lot of good advice in it. I just, for some reason, did not think that it would have so much talk about religion, which I should have expected because it's a classic. Alas, I didn't. Anyways, I still really enjoyed it, but this is the shortest book that I read this year. And if it was any other genre besides a classic, I probably would have read it in a day. I read this in 2 or 3 days, I think. And that is, I think, the only classic that I read this year. Regardless, it is the shortest book that I read in 2023. My best friend said that I should do this prompt, and I found it really funny. This is the most unhinged book of 2023. I was going through the list of books that I read this year, trying to pick a prompt for this, and as soon as I saw this book, it had to be it. And if you're thinking, oh, it's because of the plot, or oh, it's because of like the romance or the characters, no, one singular character. It is because one single character had my jaw on the floor with everything that he did, okay? He's not even a main character. Do you understand that? Like, there are chapters from his point of view, but they're so short, and there's like 3 in the book, and I was obsessed, okay? He had me gagged. He served what needed to be served, and that is, the book we're talking about is Misfit by Elle Kennedy, but specifically the character is Dawson. Oh my god. He is this is about a prep school. So I already know there's drama, okay? And the book is unhinged by itself, but Dawson is what did it. And I can't tell you what he did because it would spoil it. And why would I want to do that? Just pick this book up. You don't even need to continue the series because they're like interconnected standalones. Just read this one. It was literally so fun, and it's exactly what I needed because I was in a reading slump. And I obviously really enjoyed it because I gave it 4.25 stars. Come on now. Best sequel of 2023. I have to preface this by saying that this is the best sequel that I read in 2023 and not the best sequel that was released in 2023. And with that being said, it definitely has to go to The Gilded Cage by Lynette Noni. Obviously, I gave it 5 stars. This is the second book in the Prison Healer trilogy. This one was so good. I honestly don't really enjoy second books in series if they're trilogies. For some reason, I feel like the second book is always lacking, and it's always setting up for the finale, and it doesn't really have a lot of substance by itself. Not this. Lynette Noni said, "Hold my dagger." I'm sure that's exactly what she said. This is so good. It had like new characters, a new setting. It was really good. And while it was building up for the last book, it didn't feel boring. Lynette Noni's writing, from what I've picked up from The Prison Healer and this book, is that her writing starts off kind of slow in the beginning, but it's not boring. It's just kind of slow. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. And then shit kicks off, and there are so many plot twists. I highly recommend picking this series up if you haven't. It's YA. It's really good. The next award is Best New Release of 2023. And if you're sitting there watching this video wondering, Elena, is there gonna be a Cassandra Clare book in this video? Of course there is. Who do you think I am? The best new release of 2023 that I read was Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. I waited for this book. This is the first book that I actively waited to be released, and it kept just being pushed back. Honestly, I'm not mad about it. This was so good. I know some people have qualms with it. I do too, for like very little things. I obviously really enjoyed this book because I gave it 4.75 stars, and I was really scared about it as well. Specifically because of the epilogue, because the shit that went down in Clockwork Princess, like the epilogue in that, I couldn't do it again. And I didn't have to, because she made the epilogue happy. She didn't rip my heart out, and I really appreciated that. Thank you, Cassie. This is the best new release that I read in 2023. The last award in this basics category is a surprising favorite of 2023. If you were sick and tired of me talking about Sarah J. Maas, I'm so sorry, because I'm going to talk about it again. Because the surprising favorite was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And I'm not talking the whole series because yes, the whole series was a surprise that I loved it. I really enjoyed this book. I thought I was gonna have to suffer through this book to get to the second one, because the second one is like the fan favorite. And listen, this isn't my favorite out of the series, but I still gave it 4.75 stars. Why was it so fun to me? I couldn't tell you. I think it was Lucian. Lucian and Farah had like a really funny friendship, and I think I thrived. Yeah, I also really liked Alice. So this was a really like a surprising favorite. Like, I reread this book this year. I read it like, I think in August, and I reread it. I mean, it was an audiobook, but it doesn't matter. I still reread this book and the whole series. Are you kidding me? I love this book. Please go read it. I know, like, everyone is telling you to read it. I get it, but like, go read it. Like, it's so good. And if you're my friend watching this video, you know who you are. And I will quite literally force you to read this series. Next category is book content, and the first award in this category is Best Writing of 2023. What writing had me gagged, had me gasping for air, you ask? The writing in The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I don't know what she did with this book. It must be some kind of sorcery, because the way that she explained everything was divine to read about. This, so good. If you haven't read this series, which would be surprising because it's a really old series, I think I'm the only person who hasn't read them yet, read it. Dude, the descriptions in this book, they were amazing. They were show-stopping. She did everything that she could, and it paid off. Next award is Best Quotes of 2023, and while I could add The Raven Boys here again, I decided no. You know, we're gonna have too many of the same books over and over again. Let's switch it up. So the next best thing was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. This is not a fan favorite in the Throne of Glass series. It's not. It is mine, however. This book has a special place in my heart. I loved the characters, first of all. I know that we don't usually like the characters in this book. Or the one character, you know, the guy. Doesn't matter. This, amazing. The quotes in this book, the way that Chaol talks about the love interest in this book, I can't tell you because it's a spoiler, but the way that he talks about this girl in this book, it was so cute. It had me giggling, twirling my hair. This book made the characters for me. It was so good. Oh my god, like every single Throne of Glass book has amazing writing, but this, so good, so good. She outsold with this masterpiece right here. And I'm so baffled that people want to skip it. Don't. It's so good. This is a personal favorite category of mine because it's Best Cast of 2023. When I read books, I really enjoy characters. So this was like a really important award for me, and I really thought seriously about it. And it just has to go to The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a mystery thriller kind of series. You might not recognize these covers because they got new covers. I prefer these ones, so I keep using them. I literally don't care. These are the covers that I love. The cast is amazing. Okay, it's diverse. It's YA, so they're like teenagers, but every single one of them is so different. I loved it. Every single character is different, but they work so well together. It's amazing. And the found family is like jaw-dropping. Like, found family is my favorite trope ever. If I had to pick one singular favorite trope, only one, it would be found family. And this series executed it perfectly. So if you have not read this, go read it. It's also so easy to read, and if you're in a reading slump, this will get you out of it. There's 4 books in the series. You'll go through them like that. Best World Building of 2023. I thought long and hard about this and then realized that I don't need to think that hard because there is only one right answer, and that is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I almost fucked up the title. It's fine. I keep mixing up the first and the second book. A lot of people say this has a lot of world building and it's really overwhelming. And there is more than the usual fantasy book, especially if you read Sarah J. Maas and her other series. But it's also not as overwhelming as people think, and I think it was actually done really well. I don't think it was really info dumping. I thought that the information was incorporated really well into the story. The things that you really needed to remember kept getting brought up, so you weren't missing anything. And it was just, I think, really masterfully done, like the whole book. But the world building is what got me. Like, it's such an interesting world to be in. It was just really good. Like, I think this might be one of her best written books. I'm just gonna say it. Next award is Best Trope Execution of 2023. Again, this, out of the books that I read that had this trope, this one excelled at it. And it is When Gracie Met the Grump by Mariana Zapata. As you can see, I gave it 4.75 stars. Listen, I love Mariana Zapata, I love her books. But this one I think is a personal favorite. The more I think about it, the more I just adore this book. And you might be asking, Elena, what's the trope that was executed? What trope wasn't executed? It was so good. It has hurt comfort, has grumpy grumpy, which is the trope that I wanted to put for this. Listen, I love Grumpy Sunshine, I love Reverse Grumpy Sunshine. I have not really read that many books where it's grumpy grumpy. This is so good. Dude, the banter, the hurt comfort, the found family, everything in this was amazing. And I haven't really read that many, like, superhero romances. Actually, I think this is the only superhero romance I've read. I've heard of other ones, but this one, just, it's so good. Next up, we have the Best Couple of 2023. I thought long and hard about this because there were a couple of competitors for this award, but it had to go to Aelin and Rowan from Throne of Glass. Listen, I adore them, okay? They are made for each other, they're perfect for each other, and if you've read the series, you know that Rowan doesn't show up until later in the series, and he still excels. It's just, I love them. Like, they were made for each other. They're so good. They listen to each other so well, and they bicker, yes, but it's not like toxic bickering. It's, I think, very realistic, actually. I love them. They mean so much to me, and I don't think I've stopped thinking about them since I read this series. And that's saying a lot. I also did put the Instagram handle of the art that I'm using. I don't know if you can see it, so if you can't, I'll put it up on the screen as well, just for credit. This one was a personal favorite of mine to think about because I adore friendships in books. That is like the one thing that I really love. So the best friendships, I think, of 2023 were the Valkyries from A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Listen, I don't know where to start. These three, I love them. They mean everything to me. And I can't even tell you why, because it's spoilers. But they are so good. Like, female friendships perfectly encompasses what they have. I don't think men will ever understand female friendships. And there's nothing to be done about it. But this means so much to me. This reminds me of the friendships that I have with my best friends. We're like a group of 4 besties. This reminds me of that. And honestly, like, what more could I ask for? They're so good. I love them. We have Nesta, we have Gwen, and we have Emery, and I love all 3 of them. They are my girls, okay? And then we have Best FMC of 2023. This has to go to Aelin Ashriver Galathinius from Throne of Glass. It has to. She's literally my favorite female character I've ever read, let alone in 2023. So this obviously has to go to her. Like, she's so badass, and the character development that she goes through in the books is insane. Insane! Because we did Best FMC of 2023, we have to do Best MMC of 2023, and that has to be Kate Eaton from Heartless by Elsie Silver. This man, he is literally the perfect book boyfriend. He's so grumpy, but he's so caring. He has a big heart. I don't even know how to explain this man to you. He is literally perfect. Like, go read this book. If not for the plot, for this. Dude, I love this man. That's all I can say. I'm literally at a loss for words with how much I love him. For all of my fellow smut girlies out there, I had to do an award for the best smut of 2023. And that definitely has got to go to The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Listen, this book isn't that filthy, but the smut that is in it is so good. Why? Because it's emotional. Because it had substance. Because it had a place in the story. I very often will read books where the smut is literally not needed for the story. It's just there because smut is like really popular right now to read. But this, I have never shipped a couple faster than these two. These were amazing. I have not continued the series because I don't think I'll love it as much as this one, because I gave this one 4.75 stars. The only reason why it wasn't 5 stars is because it was missing the 5-star feeling. They had communication, they understood each other, they understood each other's needs. So good. And so, like, body positive, sex positive, amazing. Show-stopping. Next category is emotional. Okay, we're nearing the end of this award show. How are you doing? You okay? You should probably grab some water. I forgot to mention. This is kind of a lengthy award show, okay? First award in the emotional category is Funniest Book of 2023. This is the prompt that sparked this whole idea, actually. And the book that went along with it was Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Marr. I'm so sorry. This was so funny. Obviously, because it got the Funniest Book of 2023 award, but you don't understand. I was laughing the whole time I was reading this book. This is a gem and a half. It's fantasy, but it's written like a rom-com, and that's like a very niche like kind of category of books, and there's not a lot of them there, and if you're looking for that, it can be really frustrating when you can't find it. This is so good. Amazing. I loved the characters. I was laughing out loud reading it, and I was constantly showing like parts of it to my friend, and she was also laughing. Amazing. Amazing. Everything in the universe is balanced, okay? So if we're doing the funniest book of 2023, we have to do the saddest book of 2023. And that is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This could have easily also been Kingdom of Ash, but no, I think this one wrecked me more because I felt for Nesta. This book is basically like a healing story for Nesta, and I can't tell you more than that because it'll spoil the whole series, but this was very raw and very real, and as someone who is a psychology student, I feel like the mental health representation in here was really good. And I love the way that it was resolved and taken care of, and I really liked it, and I loved everything about it, and I think it had a lot of good conversation topics, and it was handled with grace, and I really liked it. And then again, balance of the universe. So what's the fluffiest book that I read in 2023? What book should you read if you just want to relax? You want to have a good time, you want to be giggling, kicking your feet, twirling your hair. It has to be Next to You by Hannah Bonham Young. This book, I read this book because I wanted to get to the second book. Still have not read the second book. This one though, amazing. And this one also had a really good trope execution, and also a trope I don't really see a lot, because while it is kind of single parent, both of them are kind of single parents, but they're not really parents because they're the siblings of the children that they have custody of. Do you know what I mean? This was really good. Okay, it had some deep conversation topics, but overall, very light, very happy. I loved it. It was so cute. The kids were adorable. The relationship progression was really good. It's 297 pages as well. Like, it's really short. Go ahead and read it. Like, it can't hurt. It's a really good story, and it had a lot of heart, and I really liked it. Most emotionally scarring book of 2023. Remember how I said it could also be Kingdom of Ash when we were talking about Court of Silver Flames? Well, it is Kingdom of Ash for this one, for sure. The first 200 pages of this book, I was crying every single page, and I can't tell you why, but it ripped my heart out. And whenever I think about what was going on in those pages while I was reading them, when I randomly think about what was going on, like, my stomach twists and turns. Like, I have like an emotional reaction when I think about what was going on in this book. And that should tell you how good it is, because I literally have like visceral reactions to it. It's so good, but it's also so traumatizing, and I would highly recommend actually to look up the trigger warnings. A lot of people say like, oh, like the trigger warnings like spoil the story. Your mental health is more important than your enjoyment of the story. just look up the trigger warnings and then go into it, and then, I was gonna say suffer through it, like, that makes it sound like it's a bad book. No, like, suffer through the 200 pages because of what's going on, and then enjoy it. It takes you on a ride. Most entertaining book of 2023. What book had me reading it nonstop? I think that when I read this book, I took one breath in before I read it, held it for the entirety of the book, and then let it out in one big gust at the end. And that is The Failed Audition by Kristen Beccarici. Did you think there wasn't going to be one of their books in here? If you did, how dare you? I love this. This is the first book, and I think the Circus' Family series. I think that's what it's called. I gave it 4.75 stars. I cannot explain to you how fun this book was to read. It was so entertaining. I loved the characters. Also, the setting was really interesting because I don't think I've ever read a book set in Las Vegas. It was really fun. And also the premise of it, the fact that there's like a circus, was really fun. I really enjoyed this. The writing is so easy to read, as always, but it's also so hard-hitting, and they have a way with words. These two, it's just, it's so good. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to say, is the last award of this award show. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for watching. I will probably do this next year as well. This was really fun, and I hope it was fun for you. I had a lot of trouble trying to set this up, so I'm sorry if you can't really see that well. I tried my best. I hope you enjoyed anyways, because I had a lot of fun doing it and planning this and stuff like that. So since this is probably going to be the last video for 2023, I'd like to wish you a Happy New Year and Merry Christmas to those who celebrated. I hope you had a lovely time, and I will see you in the next year with new reading goals and new ideas and new videos planned.